Today, did John Kerry disclose sensitive intel to Iran? And the CDC finally releases its new mask guidelines. For those of you who are still listening to the CDC, we stopped a long time ago, but we've still got the latest for you, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Thank you for being here. And Eric July, BlazeTV contributor, who is all like Texas, Dallas.
Yeah.
Wow.
All out of my mind.
He's not, you're not in your, there's no comic book.
True.
There's no Marvel.
True.
There's no.
Mixing it up today.
You are. I like it. It's a new side of Eric July. All right, let's get to the headlines of the day. So, former Secretary of State, now climate czar, in case you guys missed that one, John Kerry, reportedly disclosed to Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif that Israel was behind more than 200 attacks on Iranian interests in the Middle East. Now, this was, of course, in true typical New York Times fashion. The New York Times released a story, and this little detail was kind of buried within the story as if it was just kind of a casual little minor detail that John Kerry was the one, and there was leaked audio. There's a recording of a conversation in March that was not meant to be for publication between two of these people, and the foreign minister of Iran can be repeatedly heard saying on audio. And Kerry had apparently disclosed all of this information, all of this intel about Israel to Zarif. Now, this comes at a time where Kerry was allegedly disclosing all of these details at a time that there were secret military missions, and they were talking to the United States about a potential peace negotiation. So this would have been a very crucial time to not give any leaked information. Here's John Kerry's tweet on the matter. He says, "I can tell you that this story and these allegations are unequivocally false. This never happened, either when I was Secretary of State or since." And it did not stop there. Here is what the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki had to say. She was asked about this the other day, and I believe that we have her response here. Let's watch.
Does the president have any comment or reaction to Kerry telling the Iranians about covert military action on the part of Israel?
We're not going to comment on leaked tapes.
Well, okay then. I guess there we have it. So if anyone is doing anything that they shouldn't be doing, well, we just won't comment on it because they're leaked tapes. So that's fine. No one needs accountability for their potential actions because we don't have to comment on leaked tapes. To me, this is pretty explosive if the report is accurate, which, by the way, again, you got to believe that it probably is. I know it's the New York Times, so we'll give them that much. It is the New York Times. Anything is possible. They could have made the whole thing up. But the story wasn't about John Kerry's part in it, right? The story was about behind the scenes power struggles of Iranian leaders. And it was just kind of buried in there as if the New York Times knows, well, it's just kind of normal for these guys to leak information. And it's just part of the story. It's almost like they didn't even realize that that would be the biggest takeaway from the United States. So here it is. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, I think it's absolutely real. And I'll tell you why, because it plays into the agenda. If you look at the administration at that time was very pro-Iran. We sent them money, for crying out loud. We showed them favors to the Obama administration. So it makes sense. They were very anti-Israel at the time, which we are again now. And here you have 2.0. Now he's the czar of the climate, but he's with Biden. It's the pack runs together. And all of a sudden we are anti-Israel again. We're going to be pro-Iran again. Here we go. So I think it's real.
Let's make another nuclear deal.
I think it's real.
Pay him a bunch of money to not do anything.
Exactly. Let's send him another plane with 180 million or whatever, 1.8 billion in cash, whatever that was. But no, I think it's very real, 100% real. But we should not let this just slip. The magnitude of the situation, there was real war talk at that time between those nations. And when you start leaking information on America's friend, Israel is a friend to the United States. And
I mean, they're certainly supposed to be.
So
it's not how the
you,
current administration and the Obama administration
no,
acted.
absolutely. You're having this conversation. I'm telling you now, Bibi is having this conversation about Kerry. His administration right now in Israel is talking about, wait a minute, Kerry did what? Under Obama, he did what? At the time when they befriended, they leaked some of our information. They're not taking this lightly. No doubt they're not. And now they're going to question, again, are we trustworthy? Is this administration trustworthy? This hurts our relationship with Israel significantly.
Yeah. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, so many angles that, I want to take certainly on that, because you can look at it in this for America. And what people need to understand is the thing that I liked about it, or rather, is it's saying these sort of quiet parts out loud.
Yeah.
But most importantly, what it is how they feel the need to only, and I get it, people that work in the military, they're going to say that this is how it's supposed to be. Certain information has to be classified because if it got out to the public, this would be a threat to yada, yada, yada. But it goes to show when you see Psaki's response, she's like, well, we didn't give you the information, or we didn't authorize that the information be out there. Therefore, we're not even touching it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes right. This whole idea of transparency when it comes to the executive branch is hilarious. That people actually think that will ever be a thing, or that's a thing. There's people that actually rally for it. Now, the interesting take that I was looking some of this up and trying to get everybody's different perspective on this is how what it would sound like in the event that this is true. Let's just assume that it is. It's the United States military, or at least people speaking on their behalf, playing both sides of, both sides of the table. This isn't the first time that they've done this.
Right.
We've seen them create turmoil and war efforts in the Middle East, be it Syria and what have you. Playing both sides, you fund the people that are supposed to be the resistance, while also funding the other side. You run guns to this side while also you take the other people's side, or it creates this, they call it a power vacuum or what have you, and now you got a bunch of just terrorists just all over the place because you were funding certainly both sides of the war because that benefits you. That in itself, though, isn't a new thing, and I think people need to understand that, but it also goes to show just war efforts in general. Look, I think people need to come to terms with the United States military. It's long been corrupt, but it goes under more so the wayside because we're so used to it as a culture that they just go over there and they're stationed everywhere. They play world police. They get involved in the people's affairs. They play not just them playing both sides, being involved in people's civil wars. Like these are efforts, particularly in the Middle East and Africa, that go back. I'm talking decades. Like this is even pre Obama. We're talking, pre-Clinton. This is something that they've been doing a very, very long time. It just kind of got accelerated with the whole war on terror and Bush administration after that. Hopefully, which is me holding my breath, and I guess I shouldn't do this, I would hope people pay more attention to that side of the story and understand that it is a dangerous institution, in the sense that those are the types of efforts that they send you all kids to go there and fight. So they create turmoil, beef between these different nations, and then out of nowhere, it's like, okay, well, we got to play world police again. Though you created you shouldn't be even involved in this. You created this tension, and then they send your kids off the war, and then we have a perpetual 20, 30-year war that every president seems to talk about. We're going to get everybody out of there by this date, and it literally has not happened yet.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, one man that came through on his word on that is President Trump. He pulled troops back. He did not declare.
Not enough for me. That's what I will say.
Not enough, but he did not enough, Eric. But he did not declare a war. He did not start a war. He actually is one that started to stem the tide. But you have to understand this. Any economist will tell you this. The most perfect business plan on earth is war.
War, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is the most perfect
100%.
business opportunity. There is no way you can get a better ROI. Now, you have to be a really sick and twisted individual because people die in war. So you're playing poker with human lives. And so that is as old as time.
That's true.
And this is why people like Bin Laden, Chavez, these guys have said America the evil empire.
Absolutely.
Because they see them fund both sides of the war.
Yep.
And this is why at times our soldiers are being shot with our own weapons.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
these guys in Fallujah and whatever pick up weapons and go, wait a minute, this is American, this is U.S. made.
Right.
And it's shooting at us. How did this happen? You know, and all of a sudden, and this is both sides of the aisle, by the way. This is not just, this is Republican and Democrat. This is politicians playing God on the world stage, understanding that war makes money, right? And for that, I respect Trump immensely, because he did not go to, how do we build our economy? Let's go to war. He said, let's bring our troops back. Let's build a strong military, but let's build it through business. And for that, there's no other president who's ever been able to do that.
So, as I said, this comes at a time where, you know, and Yaku, you mentioned it as well, the United States and Iran are talking about, you know, another nuclear deal. Let's get some sort of a peace negotiation going on. Let's give you guys a bunch of cash for you to, like, probably not do what we agree that you're going to do. But a lot of people close to this matter are saying that this could cause Iran to reconsider their negotiations with the United States. Do you think that that would be for the better or not?
Look, I think Iran, well, I think there's a disrespect. I honestly think they're going to play this administration like a cheap dime store fiddle. They're going to play him there's no respect.
Yeah.
You know, there was respect. Again, with the previous administration, say, I'm going to be the first to walk into your territory. I'm coming. Yeah. You know, and I'm showing up. There's no respect. We saw what China did in Alaska. You're not even in a place of power to negotiate. You think Iran is going to look at a rocket man, and these guys are going to look at us, and Putin are going to look at us and go, you know what, we really need to toe the line here. My concern is this shows weakness. This shows weakness versus the administration probably think, hey, this should win favor.
Right.
See, we took one for you. We went against our ally, Israel, right, and we gave you information. To me, it shows weakness.
Yeah. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if this is, whether that be good or bad when it comes to the negotiations, because, you know, it's like the whole two things can be true. I say this every day on the show where it's like, don't get me wrong, despite me being frustrated with America and the United States government and their war efforts, it's not like Iran is this amazing place and they're just not culpable for anything, or they're not liable for anything or any sort of turmoil that's going down in the Middle East. But that in itself is sort of the problem. And when you get something like you mentioned with war and how much we spend on it, we have spent on it, and more so how easy it is, I think, is why, definitely in America's case, why they're so in tune with it, because it's so easy to just use that as, you know, I'm not even going to like the petrodollar stuff. I'm talking just straight up the state being able to fund the war efforts. It's like the thing that is like, it doesn't even click. And only until we get involved with more like domestic stuff, where we can say, okay, we don't like the fact that money's being paid for to go do this, this, and that. But when we talk about like war efforts, it's like so expected and anticipated, and they know and they understand it, because they can always word it in a way that this is for your own protection.
Justified.
Oh, it's always justified. Everything. It doesn't matter. That was the whole concept of the war on terrorism. It's like, they have it, or we think they have it. We don't know they have it. We don't really have proof, but we're just going to say that they have it. So we're going to go over there and see if they have it. And that turned into 20, 30 years of this buffoonery. But that is a very, very lucrative market. You've seen people build their entire careers, certainly over this.
Especially on the Hill.
Yeah, especially there. Yeah. Oh, man, absolutely there. But also, be it in foreign aid and all of that stuff, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, 100%. Type of stuff that's been going on. It sucks, because what happens is we have this conversation right now, like who benefit in the event that we pull out, who doesn't. You know, anytime there is a threat to pull out, the first conversation that gets brought up, well, what about power vacuums and all sorts of stuff? It's like, at what point do we concede that maybe us being involved in everybody's affairs created more issues than it has, let's say, in terms of saving the American lives or what have you?
Yeah, I'll say we're picking and choosing, and America has always picked and chosen. Look, I'm an immigrant, right? So I've looked at it from another perspective. I'll tell you, if we wanted to go really be a good big brother, not big brother in the terms of oversight, but a real support, right? Why are we not even talking about Mozambique at the moment? We're talking about genocidal killings and beheadings at a rate that is, I can show you images that'll make you vomit, right? It's not a conversation, because there's no financial gain for us to go to Mozambique and actually helping people that are being slaughtered, or the DRC. Why don't we go help President Felix, the new president who took over for Kabila, who's trying to clean up a nation? Crickets. There's no gain, because China has leveraged every resource in the DRC. So it's weird when you start picking and choosing battles on how to help humanity based on your financial gain. bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah. Something tells me John Kerry will not actually be held accountable for any of this, nor will the White House actually look into and see what happened. Oops. Well, it'll be forgotten with the next news cycle. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So there are a lot of corporations meddling in what's going on, our politics today. So I think now more than ever, it is time to support the companies that really believe in the values that we believe in the Constitution, believe in your right to free speech. I'm talking about Patriot Mobile. So if you are still with one of the big corporation mobile carriers, what you're doing is you're paying them part of your bill money that you pay each month goes towards all of these left-leaning causes that you are working to fight against. But with Patriot Mobile, they will not do that. They believe in the same things that you believe in, and they will not bring your hard-earned money to all of these left-leaning causes. In fact, oftentimes they're donating it to causes that you actually do believe in. Second Amendment rights, pro-life organizations, places that you want to be funding, places you want to be giving your hard-earned money to. So if you have not yet made the switch, you got to make the switch today. Patriot Mobile, it's very, very easy. It's 2021, so you can bring your own phone over. You can bring your phone number over. It's all very easy. You can do whatever you'd like to do. The networks are all, it's all a very seamless transition. You can do it very easily. You will get 50% off of your first 2 months, plus a free Patriot starter kit. By the way, while you're at the website, you can enter to win a free phone and cellular service for life. All the details are on the page, patriotmobile.com/news. It is patriotmobile.com/news. Get that special deal now and enter to win at patriotmobile.com/news. Well, Dr. Fauci teased it, and now it is here. The CDC today announced new guidelines regarding mask use while outdoors for both, by the way, vaccinated and unvaccinated Americans. According to the CDC, fully vaccinated Americans no longer need to wear masks while outdoors unless they are in a crowded area. And unvaccinated Americans, shame on you, they would say, can also stop wearing masks outside in certain situations. So let me give you guys the breakdown. People who have been fully vaccinated can gather indoors with fully vaccinated people without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart, can gather indoors with unvaccinated people of any age from one other household without masks or staying 6 feet apart, unless any of those people or anyone they live with has an increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. They can gather outdoors without wearing a mask, except in certain crowded settings and venues. And if you travel in the United States, you don't need to get tested before or after travel. So, you know, it's interesting because I'm reading this and I'm like, weird, because I wasn't waiting for the CDC to tell me how I need to live my life. So it's interesting that they keep giving me these guidelines as if are there people who are still going by these guidelines? Because it's been a really long 15 days to slow the spread, I've got to say. But I'd like to get your thoughts on this, gentlemen, but let me circle back to this really quickly. And I did say circle back, pun intended. Let me get the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, who loves to circle back on things. She was asked, we talked about this yesterday, the Zoom call that Joe Biden had with all of the world leaders where he decided it would be a good idea to wear a mask, even though he was by his freaking self. Oh, and by the way, none of the other world leaders wore one because it looks stupid and it's pointless. But I digress. So she was asked about that, Jen Psaki, and here is her answer on why Joe Biden was wearing a mask. Watch.
Why was President Biden the only world leader at the climate summit Zoom who was wearing a mask?
Because he is sending a message to the world that he is putting in place precautions and continuing to do that as leader of the United States. And I don't know what setups they all had in their countries. That may warrant some more reporting or not, but obviously he had a pool there for portions. There were additional staff there, additional personnel, and that's the sort of model that we try to keep ourselves to here.
I know the CDC's website and their guidance is that you can gather indoors with fully vaccinated people without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart.
That's actually for in your private home. So it's not workplace guidance, and we still wear masks around here, just like you are all wearing masks, and We wear masks in our offices and
Not
continue
wearing
to
one.
Not-
abide
Yeah,
by
where's
that
your
until
mask?
that guidance changes.
Where's your mask?
We all wear masks in our
Literally not
offices.
wearing-
I mean, dude.
Not wearing a mask now.
There's a brain glitch
Totally
going on
fine.
there.
Totally fine. By the way, just so we're clear, current CDC guidance says that a mask is not a substitute for social distancing. Masks should still be worn in addition to staying 6 feet apart, which is weird because I'm old enough to remember when they said that the masks were if you could not stay 6 feet apart, you needed to wear a mask. It was supposed to be an either or situation at the beginning of this. A, do they think that we don't have memories? And B, are they right? Because I wonder if a lot of people, I'm like, do you not see what they've done here? Do you not remember a year ago? Did you not listen to what they were saying?
Yeah, I guess this is a classic situation for if you're stupid, you think everybody's stupid because they are. They think people can't think. I mean, maybe that's it. They must all be like us.
Right.
You know?
I need to be told
can we
what
just
to do, how
be
to
sheep? Can we
breathe,
just
if I
be,
should breathe
you know?
at all.
Yeah, can I? May I? Permission? May I have
right.
permission to live? You know? No, we're not. It's such a good point. No, we're not waiting for the CDC on nothing. We're not waiting for government on anything, okay? We live, and we live hard and fast. And so Psaki's standing there with no mask, literally saying, well, he's setting an example. Yeah, he's setting an example. I told you earlier in the show, he's setting an example that we're weak, that our nation's weak. And he's setting an example, even more than China, that, oh, here's my mask to show to you that we control our people.
Yeah, well,
We control our people.
virtue signals way
Good
more important than science.
Gracious.
Apparently.
I mean, come on.
Well, what it does is, yet again, it confirms that this is all theater. Certainly the whole mask deal was I feel like it was always theater, but that in itself, considering the setting in which it doesn't even make sense for them to have a mask, and she's literally doing the opposite of what she claimed he was doing, which it didn't even click as she's sitting here talking about.
No, but it doesn't register.
Yeah, it doesn't even register, right?
register.
But most definitely, it's all for theater. But it's just so bizarre how people just look at the CDC and I guess organizations or institutions like such, particularly mainly the CDC, as the supreme authority when it comes to just everything. So what you're hearing is that they'll make a claim that folks a year ago had made, but now you're not. It wasn't that you were right a year ago. It's that, well, they have now authorized us to be able to do these certain things, despite them changing constantly, and what they may do or rather say contradicts with something else that they said prior to that particular situation. So what it is basically saying that if it comes from that position of authority with the CDC, it is then permissible to do whatever. So this has never have been about science.
It's the law.
Yeah, it's just basically that's what it is. It's that they said that it's okay now, so it's okay. Not whether it makes sense, not whether it's scientific or anything. It's that it comes from that position of authority, and now the peasants can now listen to them.
That's right.
And it's funny because you mentioned I mentioned the thing about pertaining to the government and how they've been responding to this. I was looking at a video the other day, coming from even these. Oh man, I got so many words that I love to call them, but I can't on this show. Republican congressmen doing these stupid. Of course, when they throw on their stupid lab coats and what have you, and start lecturing everybody, literally sitting here saying, "Don't take my word for anything, America. You can go look it up yourself." They're talking about, well, if you get like the vaccine, then you can be free again. I look forward to being able to be free yet again. And if we're going to have to do this, all of you got to get vaccinated. That's particularly how they worded it. And these are, again, Republicans. And this is why I continue to say that they campaign like libertarians and govern like Democrats. Period.
All right, look, you get me started on this. Let's talk about the 6,000% increase on miscarriages of those who've had the vaccine. 6,000. Let's talk about deaths by vaccine. We just had a friend as healthy as can be. 2 days after the vaccine, organs shut down, dead. No medical condition. We have to start asking these questions. We're not lab rats. Stop volunteering to be a lab rat. I don't know if the producers can pull that image back up with Putin in the middle and everybody. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But if you look at that picture, there it is. Look at that picture, and if you know nothing about anything, perception is reality, okay? Who's the weakest person on that screen?
Joe Biden.
That's it. Who's the strongest person on that screen?
Vladimir
Not
Putin.
because he's in the middle, but body language. He's going, I own this. I own this chair. I own this place. We own nothing. The world's looking at our country at the moment and go, if you're our friend, we're in trouble because you're weak. You're not going to have my 6. And if you're our enemy, now's the time to come.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We have got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Fast Growing Trees. So we just moved, not that... I feel like we just moved. It's coming up on a year, but it feels like we just moved because we had COVID and then we had a baby. And I'm embarrassed to say that we still have a study that's full of boxes that we still need to put stuff up.
That's normal.
But Fast Growing Trees, I went to their website immediately after I heard about them because, you have a new house, you have a new yard, and there weren't any trees. Well, if you didn't know, fastgrowingtrees.com is the world's largest online nursery. So don't go to the big box stores. You got to go here, go online. You don't have to wait in line. You don't have to go hey, I want that tree. Can you please put it in my car? Oh, wait, now my car is insanely dirty because I've just lugged this giant tree back to my house. Don't do that. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com. You can choose from thousands of varieties of trees, shrubs, plants, flowers, whatever you need. They are curated to thrive in your area, and they will be delivered to your door in like 1 or 2 days. If you're looking for shade, privacy, fruit trees, whatever you need, they've got this little online quiz. You can fill it out, and they know where you live, so they can get you the right plants that will do well in your area. And every plant is shipped with a well-developed root system. It's very easy to plant. It's biodegradable. It just pop it in there and go. Fastgrowingtrees.com. This is a great problem to have. My problem when I went on there at first was I was like, they literally have everything to choose from. And I'm really bad at making a decision when it comes to putting a plant in my yard. And I was like, there's so much I can't even pick because I want them all. I'd say that that's a really good problem to have. All right. You got to go to fastgrowingtrees.com. It is fastgrowingtrees.com. They've got a 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee. So there is no risk. Now through June 30th, if you go to fastgrowingtrees.com/news, you can get 15% off. It is fastgrowingtrees.com/news for 15% off. Fastgrowingtrees.com/news. So a children's book has been placed in all of these, the immigrant children that we keep bringing into the country because we're just such a caring and passionate nation. There is a children's book that has been placed in these care packages for all of these immigrant children. There's just one problem with it. It's actually Kamala Harris's book that was spotted. This is from Jason Miller, this tweet, if you guys are watching this on video, that was spotted at this children's shelter that was housing the immigrant children. Kind of a big no-no. I don't know if they're aware of this. If, in fact, this was something that was, they were buying these books to provide them for the children, a little bit of a conflict of interest there. But we do have the official White House response from this. I feel like we keep playing Jen Psaki today. I'm very sorry for you guys, but I do have one more Jen Psaki clip to play. I apologize in advance, but here is Jen Psaki when being asked. Surprisingly, this is also always from Peter Doocy because he's the only guy who will ask the tough questions. Other than every once in a while, we've got like New York Post. Every once in a while, we'll get a tough question from someone else. But Peter Doocy, the only one asking the tough questions here. Here is Jen Psaki answering on the Kamala Harris children's book being placed in these care packages for the immigrant children. Watch.
Last couple days in the New York Post that every migrant child being brought to a shelter is being given a copy of her children's book, Superheroes Are Everywhere. Do you know why that is and if she's making any money off of that?
Of the president, of the vice president?
President's book, yeah.
I'd have to check with our Health and Human Services team if you're talking about if they go to shelters or if they go to...
Yeah, in the welcome kit, apparently, there's a copy of her 2019 children's book, Superheroes Are Everywhere.
I'd have to certainly check on that. Here, it's a good book.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he says very clearly, Kamala Harris's book, he says it, and she says the president or the vice president,
Yeah, how
Jim
are
is
you getting that confused inside the White House? Who's your boss?
Right.
Who's your
And I'm like,
ultimate boss?
How do you? He was very
let's go to the
clear.
closest big corporation and say, hey, who's the CEO? We're
Yeah.
not so sure right here.
Right.
Well,
It's very
do you want me
weird.
to tell you the CEO you believe? This is the CEO or who we actually know inside here who calls the shots.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so revealing. It's another oops moment, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, she'll have to circle back maybe and
yeah, well,
check and let us know.
circle. Yeah, circle. No, look, this is pay for play. I mean, this is comical. It's so comical. I actually, when I saw this, I was laughing. Well, of course.
Yeah.
It's Kamala Harris's book. How else would you indoctrinate these kids coming across the border? I've told you from the start, this is to build a voter bloc. This proves it.
Well, HHS says, look, it was just the one book that
It's
you guys
one.
happened to get a picture of, and it was donated, so it's fine.
So only one kid. They only care about one kid.
I guess.
You know,
I mean, I don't know. There are so many problems with this. Why Kamala Harris is writing a children's book
That's
in the first place.
that is the most disturbing thing,
I don't know what parent is like, who's a really good role model for my kid? Kamala Harris. She really worked her way to the top based on merit and hard work. I mean, some kind of work. I don't know if it would be considered hard work.
we
We'll
don't
have
call
to
that
ask
work.
Willie Brown. We'll have to ask Willie Brown, Eric.
Yeah, this is, it's not surprising in the sense that a government official and something that they are tied to is being, let's say, given. I think what people need to, and I think the more important question to that, to me at least, that he asked the second half is like, you should get paid for it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're claiming that they donated. I don't know, but look,
It's so hard to believe anything that comes out of their mouths
it's like
at this
an
point.
accident. I just find it very, very hard to
Right.
believe that
Right.
that is the case. Certainly, if people understood.
They just have one book for all of these 17 million
Yeah.
illegal immigrant children who are in the shelter to read.
It's a bizarre.
And it was donated.
It's
Right.
bizarre.
But we still pick Kamala's book, no other book.
Well, right.
Yeah,
And what a
that's-
good
You got to
example
keep the
for
message consistent.
Yeah,
That's
what a good
weird,
example for
man.
the children.
I just look. That's how a lot of people get their book sales and stuff inflated for people that aren't involved like in the industry and the arts, like us. People do that stuff with music, but more so with book sales. You see that with comic books. If you're wondering why you go to the comic book shop and they're still sitting on the shelf, but you look at the numbers, they ship 100,000 some books of an individual issue. Well, the libraries are getting those. Like the state funding, that's how they get lined up, and this is why they tend to go hand in hand with authoritarian left. But that right there is what I want to know. I want to know. Is this a case of, seriously, where that department had designated funds in which then got rerouted to Kamala Harris or whoever's publishing that particular book, which inevitably it will. Maybe Kamala gets a certain percentage or what have you. That's what I'm
Somebody
more curious.
paid for it.
Yeah, so somebody paid for
Not
it.
free.
Yeah, exactly. At some point, the money got rerouted to her.
Right.
I want to see how many middlemen we're talking about.
Well,
here.
speaking of her, just to get your thoughts on this quickly before we go to break. So she has also promised $300 million in aid to Central America to solve the migrant crisis. So throw more money at it. Surely it will help
Works every
this time, even though it hasn't worked any. But also, I thought that they were coming because of climate change. So how are you going to throw more money at it to stop the sun from beating down on them, which is why you tell us that they need to walk all the way into the United States. No, Mexico is not good enough. No, none of the other countries that they cross are good enough. Only the United States. But so
pretty racist to
$300
me.
million. Yeah. Let's see. Humanitarian relief and to address food insecurity. $55 million will address food insecurity. $255 million will go toward humanitarian relief. And the United States is also going to help Guatemala train its border patrol and improve how the country cares for migrants who are sent back or return of their own volition, because let's be real, we're not sending anyone back. And also the U.S. will send 16 employees of the Department of Homeland Security to help aid the effort. So it's good to know that your taxpayer dollars are going to something that is, definitely going to work.
This is sprinkling favor. This is pay for play. This is buying favor. You can't solve Dallas's food deserts with $55 million for food security, okay? This is a joke. If you really want to go solve food security, go solve the problem. This is political favor. This is we're going to throw you. This is we're going to send some money so some foreign country can fix their gender issue, figure out what gender they are, right? This is political favor south of the border. 100%. No issue is going to be resolved AKA you can't stop the sun. You're not going to solve food crisis with $55 million. This is political favor. They're buying will.
I mean, Eric, I'm not obviously the president, but I feel like maybe we could start by just sending a message to the countries that they're not going to get in if they come here, and that's like totally free.
That's an email.
That's totally free.
You're not even cutting
to
a tree.
Just send the message, we will not allow you to come in. You will be severely penalized if you break our laws. By the way, there is already a law on the books that you may not cross the border illegally, and you cannot abuse our asylum
those countries
system.
also have those same laws for the most part as well, south of the border. Nonetheless, though, what this is the core issue with what I have with taxation. Now, what I want America to do is look at this issue, and people that will likely watch this show will say, I don't want my money going to that.
That's
and
right.
It feels like, if it didn't feel like theft before, it starts feeling like theft even more, because you're seeing your money being, can't say that, you're seeing your money be placed somewhere else.
Misused.
Misused, yeah. Let's use that.
Misused.
Leave it to Yaku to come up with the
PG
user-friendly, Thank
But
you.
you see your money go to things that you don't want any part of. Now, you can apply that to a multitude of different things. Obviously, foreign aid, I can understand, is at the top of the list because you see no absolute benefit from that at all. It's just the money being given to, generally, it's going to go at the top. The administrations, the politicians, they're going to see all that money before it ever even gets to their citizenry and claim to need it. But that's been my whole entire issue, and for whatever reason, there are a bunch of dipsticks that are online that don't seem to understand like the libertarian position and why we have this position on taxation. See, here's my thing, and for those of you that are like, okay, I would love to give these foreign countries money they have food issues, I would like to get money to them. All right, there's a multitude of different organizations and all sorts of things that literally that's all that they do. Right? If you want to reach in your own pocket and give them that money, you are, I don't know any.
And then it's traceable.
Right.
You could literally,
exactly.
It's traceable.
And it's more, people are going to be held more accountable. If that was the approach, I don't know anybody that would say, okay, it's the same thing with the immigration. It's like if these guys had like those, definitely the celebrities who always go out of their way to say they care so much about, we have all this room. I don't know many people that would say, hey, you want to sponsor them?
Sponsor them.
You want to bring them, you want to pay them, and then you want to bring them in your own household and you be responsible for them? I don't know anybody that'd be like they would be against it because you're going to be responsible for whatever happens outside of that.
Right.
But for whatever reason, and when you bring that up as a solution, it's like, oh no, we can't do that. Let's just continue to give the money. The government continue to steal your money and then just again pee it away.
Philanthropy is never well run when it's government run. Okay, that's called bribery, corruption, and political favor.
Amen. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a minute. Black-owned businesses near George Floyd Square, which of course is the intersection where George Floyd was killed. By the way, if you do visit there and you are white, you do have special instructions. So you need to make sure to read the instructions on there. No, I'm not kidding. You do have, here we go. We have it. We covered it on the show. For white people in particular, you are to make sure that you do certain things, contribute to the energy of the space, so on and so forth, because you're white. So obviously you're evil. But black-owned businesses in George Floyd Square are pleading for help because skyrocketing crime is killing business. So they're begging for financial help. A lot of them have opened GoFundMes because crime in the neighborhood is driving their businesses into the ground. And I'm sure you guys would be shocked to hear that police are like hesitant to respond to all of these crimes whenever they are called. Kind of what we keep talking about, also what we talk about when we talk about now, Eric, I know what you're going to say. But generally speaking, when you say defund the police, if you don't have anything else in place, you should expect crime to rise. Also, if you tell the police we're going to basically charge you with murder, if you make one mistake, it could cost you your entire life, they may be a little bit cautious and may not want to respond to calls that might get them in trouble or make them be accused as a racist and have people giving them death threats, whatever the case. So now there are these Black-owned businesses that are like their businesses are dying. They say they need to overcome revenue losses of over 75%.
This is why I love to give the couch quarterback a chance on the field, right? You say, come up here, let's smash you in the mouth so you can shut up for a minute. It's one thing to say police are bad, 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 bad. Yes, there are. But you can't just yell problem, problem, and you have no replacement.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Welcome,
well,
Chaz.
What about the social workers?
Welcome, of course, yeah. Or no, let's just go Seattle and Portland. We just get a former pimp to come run community policing. And let's do that. Pay a pimp out of But Chaz, Chop, okay? Of course, no police officer is going to volunteer to want to go there. And how truly sad it is that now you're sitting with Black-owned businesses that are opening GoFundMe, and now I want to say, exactly how is this justice? Exactly how does it help your people when you hurt your people because of one of your people got hurt? What's that mentality like, and how do we embrace and formalize that kind of a movement? That's insanity. So what are we saying? Who do we blame now for George Floyd Square and the economic destruction of black business? Who's to blame now? Who do you point finger at? And they didn't ask for that, right? It's not right, man. And this is what these movements do. This is when you treat symptoms. Yeah. This is when you're emotionally charged and you treat symptoms, you get these kind of results. And now you're talking about real lives. People can't eat. Businesses close. Kid can't go to school. Whatever that ripple effect now is, and it's in the black community. Mm-hmm. So now I want to call on Miss $1 Million Mansion's head of Black Lives Matter Inc. and say, hey, are you going down to George Floyd Square tomorrow and hand out some of your cash to help your people for real? Of course not.
Yeah, we got about a minute, Eric.
No, what you're saying is this is a combination of a multitude of different problems that just seem to come into fruition in that way. Yes, there's that issue of, okay, well, you're talking about lack of policing, but then you talk about concepts like gun control and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. This is why they don't generally go certainly hand in hand. But you're right when you talk about treating the symptoms and not actually addressing the core roots of the problem, which unfortunately does end up in the destruction of a lot of black businesses and a lot of black lives by effect, because these guys are race hustlers. They're not actually in the business of actually trying to help certainly black people, black-owned businesses, or anything like that. This is more, okay, they wanted to yell, scream out the problem, and then when it's an actual solution that's not even actually on the table, or one that's actually workable, that's not actually on the table. So what you see in George Floyd Square is just a combination of so many different problems coming together and just blowing up. And I don't expect those organizations or those movement civil rights leaders to actually come to their aid like they should. But I end on this just really quick. If you want to look, if you're a black person that's in these neighborhoods and you're terrorizing your other neighborhoods, I know there's a lot of black movements that will justify your bad behavior. That's bull crap. As far as I'm concerned, it costs absolutely nothing of you to not be destructive to your own community.
Yeah. All right. Back in a minute. Well, I'm not allowed to speak on that. All right, don't forget, if you have not yet gone to wherever you get your audio podcasts, go subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters. It will help more people find the show. And also, because we're totally into feeding into people's egos, we will read your review on air so you can hear it, see it, show your friends, show your family. You're totally famous, including you, Iowa Pro Sports, who says, I may not be too smart or good looking or physically fit, and I'm losing my hair and live in a crappy little apartment, but I forgot where I was going with this. Anywho, I really love the show and everything. And also, how am I just now finding out about Eric July's music? Also, the white chocolate raspberry cheesecake Built Bars will save the universe. You guys rock. I'm actually really jealous because I have not tried the white chocolate raspberry cheesecake and I keep hearing amazing things about them. And also, yes, Eric July, there's not a thing that he doesn't do.
That's right.
He just does everything, everything, you name it. So you got to go to his YouTube, Young Ripa 59, Eric July on YouTube. Check out his show. Also go to Yaku Booyans, host of the Yaku Booyans Show. You can find that on YouTube and Instagram. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.
And